Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 4, The Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 13, Description of the Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Text 1. Sutta Uvacha Nishamya Kosaravani Paranitam Dhruvasya Vaikunta Padadhirohanam Prarudha Bhavo Bhagavatya Prashtum Punastam Bidhura Prachakrame. Sutta Goswami, continuing to speak to all the rishis headed by Sanaka, said, after hearing Maitreya Rishi describe Dhruva Maharaj's ascent to Lord Vishnu's abode, Vidura became very much enlightened in devotional emotion, and he inquired from Maitreya as follows. Purport. As evidenced in the topics between Vidura and Maitreya, the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotees are so fascinating that neither the devotee who is describing them nor the devotee who is hearing is at all fatigued by the inquiries and answers. Transcendental subject matter is so nice that no one becomes tired of hearing or speaking. Others who are not devotees may think, how can people devote so much time simply to talks of God? But devotees are never satisfied or satiated in hearing and speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead or about his devotees. The more they hear and talk, the more they become enthusiastic to hear. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is simply the repetition of 3 words, Hare Krishna and Rama. But still, devotees can go on chanting this Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours a day without feeling fatigued. Text 2. Vidura uvacha kete prachetaso nama kasya patyani suvrata kasyan vavaye prakyata kutrava satram asata. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O greatly advanced devotee, who were the Prachetas? To which family did they belong? Whose sons were they? And where did they perform the great sacrifices? Purport. The great Narada's singing in the previous chapter of 3 verses in the sacrificial arena of the Prachetas, gave another impetus to Vidura to ask further questions. Dandavat Pranam, Vishrambar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Hare Krishna. How are you, Prabhu?
I'm okay.
Hare.
How are you?
Yeah, same here, Prabhu. Doing good.
Good. Text 3. Manye Mahabhagavatam Naradam Deva Darshanam Yena Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidhir Hare. Vidura continued, I know that the great sage Narada is the greatest of all devotees. He has compiled the Panchatrika procedure of devotional service and has directly met the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. There are 2 different ways of approaching the Supreme Lord. One is called Bhagavatam, or the way of the Srimad Bhagavatam. One is called Bhagavatam, the way of the Bhagavatam, and the other is called the Panchatrika Vidhi. Panchatrika Vidhi is the method of temple worship, and the Bhagavata Vidhi is the system of the 9 processes, which begin with hearing and chanting. The Krishna consciousness movement accepts both processes simultaneously and thus enables one to make steady progress on the path of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Pancharatrika procedure was first introduced by the great sage Narada, as referred to here by Vidura. Dandavat Pranamananda Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavat, devotees.
Dandavat Prabhuji,
Okay.
Dandavat Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Text 4. Svadharma Shilai Purushar Bhagavan Yagya Purusha Vijamanho Bhakti Mata Narhadanir Itakila. While all the prachetas were executing religious rituals and sacrificial ceremonies, and thus worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his satisfaction, the great sage Narada described the transcendental qualities of Dhruva Maharaj. Purport. Narada Muni is always glorifying the pastimes of the Lord. In this verse, we see that not only does he glorify the Lord, but he also likes to glorify the devotees of the Lord. The great sage Narada's mission is to broadcast the devotional service of the Lord. For this purpose, he has compiled the Narada Pancharatra, a directory of devotional service, so that devotees can always take information about how to execute devotional service, and thus engage 24 hours a day in performing sacrifices for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has created 4 orders of social life, namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is very clearly described how each of the social orders can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita 18.45, it is stated, Sve sve karmanya bhirata samshidhim labhate nara. By executing one's prescribed duties, one can please the Supreme Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.13, also it is stated, Svanustitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. The perfection of duty is to see that by discharging one's specific duties, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the prachetas were performing sacrifices according to this direction, Narada Muni was satisfied to see these activities, and he also wanted to glorify Dhruva Maharaj in that sacrificial arena. Text 5. Yastha devarshina tatra varnita bhagavad katha mayam sushrushabhe brahman kartsnyena chastum arhasi. My dear Brahmana, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and what pastimes were described in that meeting? I am very eager to hear of them. Kindly explain fully about that glorification of the Lord. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the record of the Bhagavat Katha, topics about pastimes of the Lord. What Vidura was anxious to hear from Maitreya, we can also hear 5,000 years later, provided we are very eager. Text 6. Maitreya uvacha Dhruvasya chotkala putra Pitari prastitevanam Sarvabhauma shriyam naichad Adhirajasanam pitu. The great sage Maitreya replied, My dear Vidura, when Maharaj Dhruva departed for the forest, his son, Utkala, did not desire to accept the opulent throne of his father, which was meant for the ruler of all the lands of this planet. Text 7. Sajanmano pasantatma nishanga samadarshana tadharsha loke vitatam Atmanam lokam atmani. From his very birth, Utkala was fully satisfied and unattached to the world. He was equipoised, for he could see everything resting in the Supersoul, and the Supersoul present in everyone's heart. Purport. The symptoms and characteristics of Utkala, the son of Mahārāja Dhruva, are those of a Mahabhagavat. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 6.30, Yo mam pasyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pasyati. A highly advanced devotee sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere, and he also sees everything resting in the Supreme. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. Lord Krishna is spread all over the universe in his impersonal feature. Everything is resting on him, but that does not mean that everything is he himself. A highly advanced Mahabhagavat devotee sees in this spirit. He sees the same Supersoul, Paramatma, existing within everyone's heart, regardless of discrimination based on the different material forms of the living entities. He sees everyone as part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mahabhagavat who experiences the Supreme Godhead's presence everywhere is never missing from the sight of the Supreme Lord. Nor is the Supreme Lord ever lost from his sight. This is possible only when one is advanced in love of Godhead. Texts 8 through 9. Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam Pratyasti Mita Vigraham Abhabodha Rasaikatnyam Anandam Anusantatam Avyavachina Yogadni Dagdha Karma Malashaya Swarupam Avarundhano Natmano Nyam Tadaikshata. By the expansion of his knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, he had already attained liberation from the bondage of the body. This liberation is known as nirvana. He was situated in transcendental bliss, and he continued always in that blissful existence, which expanded more and more. This was possible for him by continual practice of bhakti yoga, which is compared to fire, because it burns away all dirty material things. He was always situated in his constitutional position of self-realization, and he could not see anything else but the Supreme Lord and himself engaged in discharging devotional service. Purport. These two verses explain the verse in Bhagavad Gita 18.54. Brahma bhutta prasanatma nasochati nakanchati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. One who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he achieves pure devotional service unto me. This is also explained by Lord Chaitanya in his Shikshastaka, in the beginning of the first verse. Cheto dharpanam arjunam bhavamaha davagni nivarpanam Shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidya varujivanam. The Bhakti Yoga system is the topmost yoga system. And in this system, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the foremost performance of devotional service. By chanting the holy name, one can attain the perfection of nirvana, or liberation from material existence, and so increase one's blissful life of spiritual existence, as described by Lord Chaitanya. Anandam buddhi avardhanam. When one is situated in that position, he no longer has any interest in material opulence or even a royal throne and sovereignty over the whole planet. This situation is called viraktir anyatra syat. It is the result of devotional service. The more one makes advancement in devotional service, the more one becomes detached from material opulence and material activity. This is the spiritual nature, full of bliss. This is also described in Bhagavad Gita 2.59, 59. Param dristva nivartate. One ceases to take part in material enjoyment upon tasting superior blissful life and spiritual existence. By advancement in spiritual knowledge, which is considered to be like blazing fire, all material desires are burned to ashes. The perfection of mystic yoga is possible when one is continuously in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by discharging devotional service. A devotee is always thinking of the Supreme Person at every step of his life. Every conditioned soul is full of the reactions of his past, but all dirty things are immediately burned to ashes if one simply executes devotional service. This is described in the Narada Pancharatra. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. Text 10. Jadandha bahiranmata mukhakritir atanmati lakshita patibhalanam prasantarchir ivanala. Utkala appeared to the less intelligent persons on the road to be foolish, blind, dumb, deaf, and mad, although actually he was not so. He remained like fire covered with ashes, without blazing flames. Purport. In order to avoid contradiction, botheration, and unfavorable situations created by materialistic persons, a great saintly person like Jarabharata or Utkala remains silent. The less intelligent consider such a saintly person to be mad, deaf, or dumb. Factually, an advanced devotee avoids speaking with persons who are not in devotional life, but those who are in devotional life he speaks in friendship, and he speaks to the innocent for their enlightenment. For all practical purposes, the whole world is full of non-devotees, and so one kind of very advanced devotee is called Bhajananandi. Those who are Ghostyanandi, however, preach to increase the number of devotees. But even such preachers also avoid opposing elements who are unfavorably disposed towards spiritual life. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 11 on Monday. Are there any comments or questions or contributions from the assembled devotees?
I don't know, Prabhu. Which canto are we in, Prabhu?
Which canto?
Yeah.
The fourth canto.
Oh, okay. So we're in the so Daksha past time. Okay.
Daksha. You're
Yeah,
asking about
yeah,
Daksha?
it comes in. Yeah. Daksha Yagna, it's in the fourth canto, no, Prabhu.
Yeah, we read that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was maybe that was like the last storyline, the last
Okay.
Leela that we read about, where there was some sacrifice going on by Daksha,
Yeah.
and he failed to give proper respect to Lord Shiva, and that caused a lot of issues.
Mm. Yeah. It's a very interesting canto.
Yes. Okay. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Jai Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Jai Navadvitam Ki Jai, Nrsimha
Jai.
Bhakti ki jai, Mayapur Dham ki jai,
Jai.
Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai,
Jai.
Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Ju ki jai,
Jai.
Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai ki jai,
Jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham ki jai,
Jai.
Giri Govardhan Dham ki jai, Shamkund, Radhakund ki jai, Tulsi Devi,
Jai.
Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi ki jai,
Jai.
Jai.
Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai,
Jai.
Jai.
Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute ki jai,
Jai.
Jai.
Scientific Sankirtan Yagi ki jai, Scientific
Jai.
Sankirtan Yagi ki jai,
Jai.
Jai.
Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute ki jai, Sri
Jai.
Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai,
Jai.
Jai.
Jai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol.
Jai Shripadananda Krishna Prabhu ki jai, Jai Vishwambar Prabhu ki jai,
Jai.
Hari Bol,
Hari Hari Krishna Keshav Prabhu ki jai. Jai.
Jai.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai.
Okay, my Dandavat pranams to you. Take care.
And you, Prabhu. Also.